At the edge of the world, where no gods walked and no mortals dared live, stood a mountain cloaked in mist, the mountain of flowers and fruit. There, beneath the weight of centuries, lightning struck stone, and the stone cracked. From it stepped a creature like no other, golden eyes burning like twin suns, fur shimmering like molten bronze. He did not cry. He did not crawl. He walked proud and whole. The animals of the mountain gathered. They bowed. He had no name, but they called him Monkey King. Not because he ruled, but because he was destined to. The heavens took notice, and in that first breath of life, a storm began to brew. The Monkey King lived 1,000 lives in a single year. But one question haunted him. If I can leap across clouds and shatter mountains, why must I still die? He feared no army, no beast, no god, but he feared the end. So he sought the secret of immortality. He crossed burning deserts and climbed mountains taller than the sky. He sailed across the eastern sea on a leaf, chasing the whisper of an immortal sage, the legendary master Subhutai. The sage lived in a cave hidden within the mountain of mind and heart, a place untouched by time, where thought itself became stone. There, Monkey knelt for 49 days. No food, no sleep, just wind and silence. And then, the cave opened. Master Subhutai taught him the 72 transformations, how to split a hair into a clone, how to ride clouds, how to silence death. But the price was secrecy. "Tell no one," said the master. Monkey bowed and smiled. The Monkey King had conquered the seas, but still death whispered in his ear. So he leapt into the blackness between worlds, a crack in the wind, a place where no light lived, the realm of King Yama. There, towers rose from bone, rivers of ink flowed like blood, and in the center, a single book, heavy as the sky, the book of life and death. Every soul, every birth, every end, written, sealed, fated. But Monkey did not accept fate. He stormed through the halls of judgment, tore past the ghost scribes, and with one golden claw, he found his name, and he scratched it out. The ink screamed. The book shook, but the page went silent. No name, no death. Not anymore. The heavens trembled. Scrolls unraveled. Bells cracked. The immortals awoke. They saw what Monkey had done, how he'd erased his fate, how he walked the earth as something outside the cycle. And the Jade Emperor, ruler of heaven, spoke just one word: enough. Far above the mortal world, in the palace of heaven, the Jade Emperor watched. He had seen the Monkey King rise, from stone to rebel to legend. And now, this creature born not of divine blood, but of earth and fire had defeated every army the heavens had thrown at him. The gods were afraid. Some wanted war. Some wanted exile. But the Jade Emperor was older, wiser. He knew that sometimes the most dangerous enemy is the one who craves chaos, but hides it behind charm. So instead of force, he offered honor, a seat at the heavenly court, a title, keeper of the celestial stables. It sounded grand, but it was a title without power. a cage made of gold and compliments. And Sun Wukong saw it for what it was. An insult, a leash. But still, he smiled. He bowed, not too deep, just enough to make the gods sigh with relief. He entered the gates of heaven as a servant, but walked its halls like a king. He wore the silk robes, fed the dragons, cleaned their stables, and every moment he watched, he listened, he learned every secret hallway, every arrogant whisper, every locked door. He played their game, but inside, he was building his own board. Time passed. The gods grew used to him, a monkey in silk, a curious servant. But behind every chore, every smile, every bow, Sun Wukong was watching. He memorized the heavenly laws. He counted the gods. He walked corridors meant only for the divine. The celestial bureaucracy prided itself on order scrolls upon scrolls recording every soul, every fate, every moment. And deep within the Jade Emperor's heavenly library, there it was, the Book of Life and Death, bound in dragonhide, etched with cosmic ink. This was no mortal ledger. It was divine law. And yet, Sun Wukong stood before it again. He had done this once years ago, in the underworld, when fear had driven him to erase his name from the Yama King's scrolls. That act was rebellion, instinct, survival. But this time was different. This time, he walked into heaven's core, not as a thief, but as a challenger. He unrolled the sacred scroll, found the characters of his name, Sun Wukong, born of stone, and with a single stroke of his golden staff, he slashed them into oblivion. Not out of fear, but out of defiance. No god, no death, no heaven would own him. From this moment on, he belonged to no one. He marched into the palace square, climbed the steps of the Jade Pavilion, and shouted for all to hear, "I am no stable boy. I am the great sage, equal to heaven itself." The court froze. Some laughed, some trembled. The Jade Emperor said nothing, but the wind changed. The skies darkened, and somewhere deep in the cosmos, the balance began to tip. He left the library in silence, but heaven would not allow silence for long. The Jade Emperor's gods stormed in warriors carved from starlight, armored in divine will. Their weapons hummed with cosmic law. The mandate of heaven was clear. Sun Wukong must kneel. But Wukong knelt to no one. He twirled his staff once and stretched to the clouds. He struck the marble floor and the very sky cracked. They came at him by the hundreds, thunder, flame, ice. He met them all with a grin. Every blow he dodged was a line of poetry. Every counter-strike was a verse of war. In that moment, Sun Wukong wasn't just a monkey. He was rebellion. He was chaos. He was freedom given form. And as celestial walls crumbled beneath his fury, one truth echoed across the stars. He was no longer playing their game. He was rewriting the rules. They called him the Jade Emperor. Not just a king, but the divine order itself. He did not shout. He did not strike. He ruled through balance, through silence, through law. When Sun Wukong tore the heavens, the Emperor did not rage. He summoned no armies. He merely opened his hand, and all of heaven obeyed. The throne he sat on carved from stars, floating in a chamber of time. His eyes saw past flesh, past bone, straight into a soul's weight. To face him was not to face a man, but to face judgment. When the Monkey King stood before him, smirking, wild, drunk on victory, the Emperor only whispered, "You think immortality is power. You think chaos makes you free." And with a glance, he bent the skies against Wukong, not with fury, but with the force of all things that must remain unbroken. The battle raged for days. 10,000 heavenly soldiers, all crushed under the weight of one monkey's fury. Wukong fought like thunder, like wildfire, like the storm itself. No weapon could pierce his skin. No spell could bind his will. He soared through the skies, tore down palaces, shattered sacred gates. The Jade Emperor, watching from his crystal throne, could no longer ignore him. So he called upon the 8 immortals. He summoned Neza, the Prince of the Lotus. He awakened Erlang Shen the god with the third eye. And finally, he turned to the only power left untouched, the Buddha. A golden calm fell over the heavens as the Buddha stepped forth. No sword in hand, no army behind, only stillness. Wukong laughed. "You think peace will stop me?" But the Buddha did not speak. He simply raised one hand, and the sky split open. The Monkey King charged forward. But in a blink, he was gone, trapped beneath a mountain formed from the fingers of the Buddha himself. A prison not of stone, but of enlightenment. And so the Monkey King fell, not to a blade, not to an army, but to a truth. For 500 years, he sat beneath the mountain, not broken, but waiting.